Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey is a very interesting movie. When the movie first starts, I thought there was something wrong with my TV screen because it's blank. There's no picture, there's just music. So I was saying, is there something wrong with my screen? Is it the movie? I was confused. So I fast forward the movie and I say, oh, there are images in this movie. So I didn't want to feel like I was cheating myself from this experience. So I rewind back to the previous point where I left off and I listened to the music and I said to myself, okay, it's been 1 minute. This music is still playing and I don't get it. Now we finally get some images in this movie after at least 2 minutes, or it feels like 2 minutes, and we see the dawn of man. And if Stanley Kubrick hadn't have put that title there, I wouldn't have known what was going on here. I would have been confused. And as I'm watching the dawn of man, these people in these ape costumes looks weird. It it looks just weird, okay? And it's an interesting sequence because it's showcasing the dawn of man. It's showing how human beings used to be primitive apes and they turned into intelligent beings. I don't know if the way science portrays evolution is correct, but I guess within the context of this movie, it's saying that evolution is the correct process in which humans became. I don't know if that's the statement the movie's making, but that's what I got from it. And then so we see these apes, and they're the dominant species until another species comes in and drives them away from their watering hole. And then there is this black monolith, which I had to look up because I didn't know what it was. It's this extraterrestrial machine that is created by unseen forces, and it appears here in front of these apes, and they go crazy over it. And I guess this machine that is sent to these apes from these extraterrestrial beings is sent to help these apes further evolve. And I had to look that up because when I was watching the movie, I didn't know what this thing was. I didn't know how it got there. I was so confused. And then the movie goes along and it fast forwards many, many years later into the future, where we see human beings on a spacecraft, and one of the men have a daughter, and he has a conversation with some other people about something that is happening that he denies.
Sorry, Dr. Smithlow, but I'm really not at liberty to discuss this.
And this is the part of the movie that really intrigued me because now I'm like, okay, here's a moment of interest for me. There's something suspicious going on here. Then we have the character that we're following, and then they're doing random things, and it's kind of boring. Now, another moment of interest to me in this movie is the moment where HAL 9000 decides to take matters into his own hands when he reads the lips of the two astronauts who are planning to shut him down. Now, within this moment in the movie, I enjoyed this moment of the movie from here on because this machine, this piece of technology, right, has a personality of its own. I'm feeling emotion from this thing, which is great. And so that means that the narrative in this story is engaging. It's making me feel something without forcing it, because I'm feeling sympathy for this machine here, right? And then so the machine HAL 9000 reacts in a very brutal way when one of the astronauts tries to shut him down. I am invested in the narrative at this point. I'm interested to see this dynamic between HAL 9000 and this astronaut. This astronaut is trying to shut HAL 9000 down, and HAL 9000 is trying to sabotage the crew so that they don't shut him down. And it's very interesting. And so when the astronaut finally is able to get back into the station and he's shutting HAL 9000 down, HAL 9000 is trying to reason with this astronaut. And it's a very suspenseful scene. I enjoy it. And at the same time, I kind of felt sympathy for HAL 9000. And I love the way Stanley Kubrick directed these sequences leading to this point. Because when we understand what HAL 9000 is doing, it's told through visuals. And when we see these certain images in the movie, I feel like I feel the same emotion as HAL 9000. Even though HAL 9000 has no face and he only expresses his emotions through feeling. And see, I'm calling this piece of technology a him because it felt like a real person. Even though it's a piece of technology, it was great. I actually felt emotion in this very slow building sequence where there is a robot that doesn't have a face that is expressing emotion. And so the directing put together here visually was stunning. It was fantastic. And it made me feel something. And it's just really baffling to me how all of these things put together worked so perfectly in the narrative, and it affected me. Once HAL 9000 is shut down, then that's when the movie becomes really trippy. Because then the astronaut gets a message about the black monolith, and then the astronaut goes into a pod, and then he goes into some light speed territory with some neon colors, and then he arrives at this place, and then he eats and he drops something, and then he's in bed and he's old, and then this black monolith reappears. And at this moment in the movie, I'm thinking, okay, from my eyes, this black monolith has appeared 3 times. At the beginning of the movie with the apes, and then also when the astronauts landed somewhere and they saw it, and then at the very end of the movie. Movie goes over my head. I had to look this stuff up on Wikipedia to actually see if I missed something or I need to be like told something, whatever. I don't know. But my assumption is that this black monolith is God. Maybe I'm wrong. That was my assumption when I saw the movie. And then I looked it up on Wikipedia and it said something completely different. It doesn't mention God. It says extraterrestrials and all that stuff. And so I'm just confused as to what this black monolith thing is. I have no idea what it is. It's just some magical thing that appears, and it has extraterrestrial origins. I have no idea. What? And then the most bizarre thing in this movie is a classic scene where you have the astronaut turning into a fetus. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't understand. I'm confused, man. I don't understand. Wow. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I'm baffled. I'm stunned. Like I don't I don't understand. and that is 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. It's a very interesting movie. It's a very interesting movie, and the directing in here is fantastic. I wish that they released this in IMAX. I would totally watch this again in IMAX, even though I don't love this movie. The directing in here, the technical aspects, this is a huge technical achievement, and the performances in here are great. The ape thing, like I said at the beginning, is a little bizarre to me. It looks like people in costumes, and it shows. Um, the music is amazing. It's just the narrative to me is all over the place because from the beginning of the movie, I looked at it as okay, the music here is illustrating that there's nothing. There's nothing in the universe. It's just a vast, empty void that hasn't been created yet. That's what the whole opening thing is for the 2-minute piece of music with no visuals. That's what I came up with. There's nothing at the beginning of existence. There's no life, there's no nothing. It's blackness. And then, when the opening credits kick in, that's when we hear the epic music. And so then there is the creation of life, and then the dawn of man, and then we immediately kick into human existence, and human beings are in outer space, and we're dealing with artificial intelligence, and we don't really fully trust it, and then it wants to protect itself, and so it fights back, and then we have that, and then the ending, I have no freaking idea. A verdict for this, I would say it's good. It is a good movie. It's a very good movie because of the visual and technical achievements and performances, and there are some interesting moments in this movie that did keep me engaged. The only things that I have a problem with is what the hell is this black monolith thing, and what is the deal with this ending. Those are the only two problems. But other than that, I love the middle portion of this movie. The dynamic between the piece of technology HAL 9000 and the astronauts. All that stuff was very suspenseful, even though it wasn't fast paced. I was in suspense. And the stuff with the dawn of man was very interesting, even though the apes, human beings in ape costumes, creeped me out. But I was very engaged in this movie, and I would totally watch this again. But I feel like it deserves to be seen on the big screen. So if I ever get an opportunity to watch this in the theater, in IMAX, in any theater capacity, I will jump on that opportunity. But yeah, it's good. I liked it. It was good. There's just a couple of problems in here. Um, but yeah, that's all I have to say. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time.
I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over.